All right, so today what we're going to be doing is our isometric drawing. We're going to be using the same model we looked at last time, and we're just going to be drawing it with three sides showing it once. The isometric drawing is isometric because it's at a 30-degree angle. That is the standard isometric angle. So what we want to do is actually begin by drawing our world axis so we have a frame of reference to use our scale with. So I'm going to begin on my graph paper lined up on the grid, and I'm just going to draw a line, rotate it around, find that same point again where it crosses the grid. Okay, and then we need our third axis point, which is of course our z-axis. All right, so we're going to use that as our guide. So we'll again be using the 3 inch equals a foot scale. Okay, we're going to again draw 1 foot 6, but instead of drawing it straight, we're going to draw it at an angle. So I'm going to put my 1 on the center of my axis, and I'm going to go to 0, that's 1 foot, 1 to 0, and then to 6. And those of you with the 1/4 inch graph paper will notice that it is no longer going to be of assistance for anything except for lining it up, because everything is on a diagonal, and that changes the length. And then it's 1 foot this way. And I'm just going to put a dot on my axis line. And so we're using points to locate the sizes. And then it's 6 inches tall, so I will again place my scale, go from my 6 here to my 0 here. I can even draw a line. Okay. And then in order to find the rest of the shape of this box we're making the box that encompasses the object, and then we'll chip away at the details afterwards. I could also put my triangle on my 30-degree angle, and notice I'm using my thumbs to hold the triangle in place. It lines it up really nicely with the graph paper. And then I can just draw a line, rotate around, as long as you keep it on a 30-degree angle, this should be parallel to the other line below it. And then all you have to do is use a 90-degree angle to figure out where the height is. All right, and then to find this back corner, all you have to do is use your 30-degree angle again. I'll just line it up on one of my major grid lines. Slide over to where it lines up with my point there. You want to, again, really make sure that you're at that 30-degree angle. Another line, rotate around, find the point where the height matches up here, place your triangle, make sure it's straight, okay, and I'm just going to connect the points on these edges here. All right, so that's the overall box. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and erase out some lines here. All right, so now let's go ahead and start chipping away at the shape of the object. So the way I'm going to draw this is with the chamfered edge this way and the radius on this side. So I'm going to start with my 2" by is it 8" rectangle right here. So I'm going to place my scale on my 30-degree angle, and I'm looking for 8 inches. So go from 0 to 8, put a dot. Okay. And I'll just draw my line straight up. And then we go up 2 inches here. We can use our grid on any of the 90s. So it's 1, 2. So I want to now use my 30-degree angle from that dot. Draw out that way. And then we go straight up this way. So then we're going to have this angle here, and we'll have an angle that recedes back to the back there. So we remember we have 1, 2, 3, 4 here. If we scale this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, not using the grid, but using our scale, we should get that angle. I feel you when you have to flip your triangle over and over again. So scale on here, find my 4, put a little dot, and then from that dot to this dot, we draw a line. Okay. So this whole side is flat, except for it's got a radius over here. Our recessed in, subtracted out space over here will be up in here, in this area. So we know our radius is 3 inches, so we can go this direction 3 inches. Put a dot, and then from this angle, we'll go 3 inches. Put a dot. Okay. And you'll probably just have to freehand this arc, which is not ideal, but I didn't make you guys all buy isometric templates. But I happen to have one here, so I'll show you how to use one of these templates just for your own edification. So here we've got different isometric ellipses, basically. So this is our 30-degree. We got 15, depending on what you're using. So this 30-degree one will be the one we use. There's these little tick marks on here that should tell you where to line up on the points. So for example, this crosshair is too small. Should line up with both dots. Looks like. So once we get our crosshairs to line up, we should be able to just trace this to have a nice clean circle. There's a tick there, and a tick there, and it matches those dots. So that gives us our arc here. And then this is going to go to another point over here that we can triangulate using the scale. So we'll just put a dot at the 0 there. And I'll draw a line from that dot to that dot. And you could have even just used your 30-degree angle. Should line up. Okay. So now these lines over here are no longer necessary. And you can place your triangle right at the edge of that circle on a 30-degree angle again. You can trace the line that curves in space. Looks like my angle was off somewhere. Yeah. All right, and then from this point we go in 2.5 inches before we have the start of our cutout. So, scale. 2.5. There's a half right between the 2 and the 3. Put a dot. Okay. And then this is going to come in at a 30-degree angle again, and it's going to come in 6 inches. So I'm just going to overdraw it and then come back with my scale. Put a dot where the 6 is. There we go. Then we do 6 inches this way, and then 6 inches back. Six inches that way. 30. And then we can even just use the scale and go from that point that we created where the 6 is over. Okay. And then we come in 2.5 inches from this side to figure out where we close out that angle. Okay, and then we just go from this point to that dot. So it's not quite a straight line, but pretty close. And so that's our isometric. And then of course you should erase out anything you don't want to copy. Oh, and I'm missing one more line, I think. It should go from here to there. All right, so then we'll get the pen and trace it onto marker paper. I would first trace it probably with pen on this paper to make sure that lines that you're going to use are nice and dark and the ones you're not are as non-existent as possible. So I'll use a thick 0.7 pen. And there you go. So now this is ready to be traced on the layout barn. You only have to do the one view, and it's just a little exercise to get you thinking about isometrics. So thank you very much.